Finally, after what's felt like absolutely months of waiting, all of the liveries for the 2024 season have been released, and some have met expectations, surpassed expectations, but some are, well, they're down the drain. So I think it's only fair to rank them from best to worst, no bias. If you disagree, agree, or anything, put it down in the comments. I want to hear your guys' livery ranking. Also, whilst you're there, subscribe, like, because I don't know why you wouldn't. Anyway, hope you enjoy, and have a good day. Now, I'm gonna start off by saying, all of these liveries, I think they're good liveries. I think for the first time in a couple seasons, there's not a livery on this list that I despise. But yet, there's a couple that anger me slightly. So with that said, in P10, I've gone with Alpine. Rolling back just a couple years, in my opinion, they had a perfect livery. The 2021 Alpine, the red and the blue, it was perfect. Yes, agreed, BTW is their, one of their main sponsorships, and they can't have the red, they kind of have to have the pink. But this year, it's like they don't even have any color on their car. It's like they've gone full 2020 Mercedes, but it's Alpine. My first impressions of this were, that's new, kind of cool, but it's gonna blend in with the tarmac. You're not gonna see it from anywhere. It's not gonna stand out. It's not gonna stand out like the pink one from last year and the year before. That was a cool livery. That stood out. But this? What is this? And then, a couple minutes later, they're like, no, we're not done. We have a pink livery. No. It's not a pink livery. It's a black livery with some highlights of pink. It's just, come on. We understand that you're trying to save weight and be the fastest that you can, but let's be real, you're still not going to be battling anyone. You're going to be in the lower midfield, and to be honest, no one quite gives a shit about you. So, at least make a good livery. And in P9, I've gone with Haas, a car that's probably going to end up P9 or even P10 in the Constructors. Now, yet again, a couple years ago, their livery was nice. It was white, it was red, it was visible from literally everywhere. Unless you put it against like a snowy background with some blood from a dead animal. Then it kind of blended in. This year's livery, yet again, is just carbon. Carbon fiber with a tiny bit of white and a tiny bit of red. Now yes, the livery it's a clean livery, it's a nice livery, but the fact that there's so much carbon, and yet again, no one's gonna see it on track. Like, vibrant liveries are the things that people want to see, and when teams come out with shit like this, yeah, it's kind of annoying. But on the flip side, in P9, I've gone with steak. Now, this might be a little controversial, but there's no fun without any controversy, because there just isn't. All you keyboard warriors in the comments just spamming, oh my god, how did you do this? Well, I did, so shut up. Anyway, the reason why I've put it in P8 is it's a vibrant livery. It stands out. Yes, that's good. You're gonna see it from fucking everywhere on the track. But it's also, there's so much carbon on it, and the livery just doesn't look inventive whatsoever. When you're playing F123 My Team Career Mode, and it comes to the stage where you have to choose your livery, and then there's, those presets you can choose from. It looks like one of those. Just flat green, flat carbon, and that's it. Now yes, the green is very cool. Very cool. And that's why I said at the start that all of these liveries are quite close together. I don't think there's a single bad livery. But to make a color so vibrant, so cool, but then mix it in with black, just blanding it all out. Really? We all know that the front view of the car is very important, and that has, a lot of green. Just like, what was it, the 2019-18 Renault? That was, well, the car was primarily black, but the front of it was yellow, and that's, pretty much all the camera sees. But yet still, from the front, there's a decent amount of carbon/black on the car. The car, it's gonna stand out being in P10, right? It's gonna stand out against Haas, so that's a positive. Now, in my books, Williams is known for making absolute banger liveries. The 1992 Williams, the 2023 Williams was beautiful, like beautiful. But then they have to go downgrade it. In P7, I've gone with the Williams. Not only is it just an absolute downgrade from last year, it's got more flat colours. There's not as much going on, and it isn't as cool. No, it's not to say that I don't like it, because it's okay, in my opinion, it's a basic Williams boring livery. Last year, it had some more flair to it. There was more things going on. There was just more things around the back. It just looked a bit cleaner. This year it's a bit more blocky. They've gone with, I think, a darker shade of blue, and yeah. I like the pinstripes of red and blue, or no, red and white contrasting the whole bluiness of the car, creating the Great Britain flag. That's cool. And, you know, the orange accents from the Duracell logo and the MyProtein, they also look cool. But it, you know, it's just kind of flat to me. Now, the most basic livery ever, the Red Bull livery, I've put that in P6. Not only is the Red Bull livery just a standard livery, it looks great, and it's always going to look great. Yes, over the last couple years, it hasn't really evolved, but it's still a good livery. Not much has changed from last year to this year. There's a couple, you know, sponsors that have moved around, but it's just a Red Bull livery. It looks good, and I don't see them changing it for ever. It just looks good. And now, the top 5. I think this is the closest top 5 I've had in a while. Like, honestly, I could put 5th into 1st, and I wouldn't really mind. That's how close they are. But with all of that said, I've put McLaren in 5th. Now, the only reason why I've put McLaren in 5th and not 1st is because there's a decent amount of carbon on the car. Like, give us a bit more orange. The 2021 livery was perfect. That was wow, it was so nice. Now, I'm not saying the carbon looks bad. Because it looks phenomenal. The whole livery is just pretty much perfect for me. Now, as I mentioned, the front view of the car is the most important. And looking at it literally straight dead on in the front, it's pretty much orange. It's all orange. Then the side views, there's a bit more carbon, just squiggling about. Maybe they're gonna gain a couple milliseconds from it. Who knows? But if that means, if the trade-off is a tiny bit of showing for them battling Red Bull, guess what? I'm taking it every day. If Lando can get a win with this car, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm happy they dropped the whole ugly blue from 2022 and 2023. That was disgusting, and I hated those two liveries. But now they've brought it back. Yes. I don't know why, but the orange just looks nicer. I don't know whether it's just the blue that contrasted it a couple years ago that just made it kind of uglier. But now it looks nice. It looks, honestly, one of my favorite liveries. But, you know, as I said, the top 5 is so close. Now in P4, I've gone with Ferrari. Now, given their struggles, well, slightly last year, I was expecting them to go with a bit more carbon, knowing their last year's car on the car before. It was just red and black. And them making more carbon, you know, it would be a Ferrari thing to do. But no, they cooked on this livery. There's so much red on it, I generally can't believe it. The whole halo's red, which, you know, it's kind of unexpected. And them adding some nice white and yellow pinstripes kind of make it look like a McDonald's livery, with the Shell logo as well, adding a bit more yellow. But looking past that, they added white and yellow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But all of that just ties the livery nicely together, makes it pop out, makes it look like a fresh new vintage Ferrari livery, and we all love to see that. I think if they added a tiny bit more white, it might have been a tiny bit higher on this list, but it's a good looking livery. The only really main complaint I have is the side pod looks kind of, there's too much going on in the side pod. If they added, or if they changed one of the sponsors from the side pod, maybe lifted it up to where the air intake is, that would have been a bit more cleaner, a bit less crowded around the side pod, and maybe a bit more legible for some of the sponsors. But that's honestly really my only complaint. Maybe the front wing as well, if they added some white on the top of the front wing, that would have made it a tiny bit nicer. But, you know, they obviously need some carbon to save weight. So, listen, I'm not complaining. It's a good looking livery. In P3, I've gone with Mercedes. Now, in my books, they're known as one of the best livery teams on the grid. They have some banging liveries. Last year was kind of a miss for me. I kind of didn't like it, but my opinion. See, I first saw the car, and honestly, I generally thought it was some kind of weird render that someone has done. Because not only does it look like an absolute fucking machine, it has side pods. And I really didn't expect that. Like, it looks weird, but like a good kind of weird. It looks like, I don't know, it looks like a rocket ship from a sci-fi film. That's how I see it. Now, the front of the car is a bit longer because the seating position has been moved back because They no longer need the zero pod design, so the cockpit can go back, just like Hamilton wanted. It looks good. You know, the fade from silver to black. It's like they've merged the 2022 livery and the 23 livery. And honestly, I'm down for it. I love the red. The red accents, like, make it pop. And the contrast between the red and the blue is nice as well. The silver is a good silver. And the black is just, The black looks good. As I said, the front view is the most important view of the car. And from the front, this car is like pretty much full silver with some blue and some red highlights. The only complaint I have is, I think, you know, the two pinstripes of blue that go down the car, I think they're a bit too wide and they kind of take up too much real estate. And it makes the car, I don't know, you know what, it'll grow on me throughout the season. I'll end up literally falling in love in like 2 weeks and just forget all about this. But it's a solid livery. In P2, I've gone with the Visa Cash App Red Bull thingy-mabob. Now, I really didn't have high hopes. The name itself just kind of made it look awful. But then the livery came out, and honestly, I think it's one of the best liveries we've seen in a while. Or one of the best liveries from the whole V-Carb, Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, all of that. It's a brilliant livery. Not only from the front view is it vibrant, blue, white, and red. There's so much color on it. It looks insane. From the side as well, there's not a lot of carbon. Does that mean they're kind of expecting a P20 finish every race? Or are they going to be using the RB19, which that means they can have a bit more paint and they're still going to be cooking either way? We're going to have to wait and find out. On the front wing, yes, the sponsors kind of do look a bit cramped. Maybe they could have been spaced out a little. The cash app on the rear wing kind of looks a bit too big and a bit too goofy. But I don't have any real complaints. I love the whole white and red. I like that they have a bit more white than red. And I hope the chrome bill on the back of the car is going to be like actually chrome and good lighting. I hope this livery is as good on track as it is off track, because seeing Daniel Ricciardo maybe score a podium, that would be cool. And well, that kind of leaves us with P1. Aston Martin. I've gone with Aston Martin. Last year's car, in my opinion, was perfect. And if it isn't broke, don't change it. Yet again, minimal carbon fiber, but used where needed. And it looks good. They've always had a green and black-ish sort of vibe with some highlights of yellow, fluorescent yellow. And it all matches beautifully. I love the whole Aston Martin logo on the rear next to the air vent. That looks crisp. And all of the other sponsors just make sense. The Boss logo is, I don't know, that's kind of in a weird location for me. And everything else looks cool. We haven't yet seen the numbers or how the numbers are going to look. But knowing Aston Martin, it's going to be cool. Now, yet again, the top 5 liveries, they could have been in any order. This is what I've decided to go with. Any complaints? Put it down in the comments. Put your own list down there. Subscribe, like, and peace.